Hi guys, my name is Trinh and today I am here to do my February wrap up. This month I read 8 books, watched 4 movies, 1 TV show, and discovered a new soundtrack. But first, let's get started with books. So the first book I finished in February is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I read this for school, I read this for one of my classes, and I finished it in February, of course. Basically, in this book, it follows a man named Okonkwo, and he lives in Nigeria in the late 1800s. I believe. A lot of things happen in this book. We meet a lot of new characters. Of course, it's in this culture. It's a very sexist culture, I find. A lot of things happen and I don't agree with a lot of things because the men are the head of the house. They marry multiple wives. They have multiple children. But of course, they beat their children and they beat their wives. But then also, this deals with pre and post civilization and colonialism. How do you say that? I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I, enjoy some parts of it, but a lot of times I was very frustrated with the characters. I just don't agree with a lot of their actions and their beliefs, of course, because, it's, like I said, sexist. But this was back in the days, so I cannot talk too much about it. It's very hard to just, form an opinion on something like this. I don't even know what I'm saying, honestly, but this is me saying I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoy some part of it, but at the same time, there are some scenes that really make me uncomfortable. So yeah. The second book I read is called Suki's Kimono by Chieri. I think that's how you say the author's name. I actually don't know. I read this book because I was at a bookstore. I was at a book signing for Daniel Klein and Jason Reynolds, and I saw this book. It's a children's book. I picked it up. I read it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's really short, but I think it's so cute because it's about this girl named Suki. She's I believe the youngest of her siblings, of course. I think she's starting kindergarten, and she goes to school in her kimono, and of course people look down upon her. Suki's siblings make fun of her for it because she's wearing a kimono to school, but I think it's such a cute book because it basically teaches young children to be proud of their culture because this is, a Japanese American girl and she's wearing a kimono to school. It's very cute. I really love the short story. I don't have it because, I read it at the bookstore and then I just put it back, but I really enjoyed the story for what it is and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The third book I finished is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky, Albertalli. I have an entire video on this book, a book review and discussion, so I will link it down in the description box below. I read this book and I'm so glad I did because God, everyone loved this book, and I mean it, everyone loves this book. I see it everywhere on Twitter. This book makes me so happy and I'm so glad I read a book that put me in a good mood because I don't know why, but in January I read some good books, but a few of them were mediocre and just kind of disappointed me, so this was a huge relief. It made me so happy when I finished the book, and I'm so excited for the movie Love, Simon coming out in 2 weeks, maybe a week, I don't even know. It depends on when this video goes up, but it's in March, so I'm so excited for the movie. So I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. The first movie I watched in February is I'm Not There. I had to watch this for my class. I basically had to watch the film and write a paper on the film, and it was interesting. Basically, this film is about Bob Dylan, but instead of a typical film just about Bob Dylan, instead of hiring one actor for Bob Dylan, we have 6 or 7 people being Bob Dylan. It's so weird. It's really different. I enjoy some parts of it, but other than that, I just wanted to finish the film so I can write the paper so I can go to sleep. If you love Bob Dylan, then I think you might enjoy the movie. I'm pretty indifferent. I have never really listened to his music, so of course, watching the film, I find some part interesting, but other than that, I don't care too much about Bob Dylan because, like I said, I'm pretty indifferent. So I give this film 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it's mostly for school, so it was mandatory to watch the movie. The second movie I watched is Get Out. Basically, I watched Get Out again because my roommate Rebecca, she has not watched the film, and I was like, you want to watch it because you haven't seen it, I want to see it again. So we both watched Get Out. It was so good. It's better the second time, I find. If you don't know what this is about, watch the trailer. The trailer is so good. And I'm really shocked if you don't know what Get Out is about. I gave this movie 5 out of 5 stars. It is so good. And I highly recommend watching this film and then watching this video of Jordan Peele explaining, not explaining, but he's basically reading the theories and all that fun stuff, and he's proving if it's right or not. It's just so good. I will link the video down below for you to watch after you watch Get Out. So next is a short story that I had to read for school again, and it's called A Temporary Matter by Jhumpa Lahiri. I don't know how to say her first name, but her last name is Lahiri. I love this short story. I didn't expect too much out of it because, like I said, it's for school. It's mandatory, so you know, I had to read it. But after I finished the short story, I loved it so much. In the story, it follows a couple, you know, a married couple, and they're both Indian American, and I don't remember their names, so I am so sorry. But basically, they're going through like a rough patch in their marriage because the wife has a miscarriage. I don't know if it's called miscarriage because the baby was like 8 months old. So she was about to, you know, give birth like a month later, but then of course something happened and the baby died. The couple has to deal with that. I believe it's like 6 months later. They both have this game of like telling each other something that they don't know in the dark because the electricity is out for like an hour each day for 5 days. It's so good. I love this so much because I find it very relatable to many people because I'm sure that there are couples in real life who have gone through these things. First of all, it's very short, so you can finish this short story in like 30 minutes. Number two, it's just something that I still think about to this day. Even though I don't remember the names, I still remember what happened in the short story, and I love it so much. I just highly recommend reading it if you can. I read it via PDF. I give this short story 5 out of 5 stars. It's so good, and I might reread it later in the future, honestly, because I still have the PDF. The next book I read is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. Like I said, read it for school. I'm not gonna lie, I used SparkNotes a majority of my time with this book because, oh my god, it was just like insane. Like I could not get through like a few pages, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna use SparkNotes because everyone does that. In this book, we follow a lot of the characters, but the main guy is Thomas Gradgrind, and he's like a man, I think he's wealthy, I don't even remember, but he believes in facts. So he doesn't really believe in like imagination, fairy tales and stuff like that because they're all, you know, make-believes. This belief really has a huge impact on his family, on his children. We have one character that I feel so bad, Louisa. She is a character that has gone through a lot in this book because she is like the victim of so many mistreatments and abused by so many people. It's very interesting. We did discuss a lot in my class, but I don't like the ending. That's like the thing that pissed me off. I cannot discuss much because spoilers, but I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars, I believe. Yeah, 3 out of 5 stars because mostly of the ending. The next book is City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. I read this book in February. It was so good the second time I read this. Oh my god, I love this book so much. I have an entire video on this book. Basically, like I said, a book review and discussion, so I will link it down below. If you don't know, I participated in the City of Ashes live show with Emma and 3 other co-hosts. Yeah, 3 other co-hosts. My memory is so bad. But I love this book so much, and if you have not read this book, read it. If you don't know, this is the second book in the Mortal Instruments series. Just read Cindy Bones, read this, and just finish all of her books. Because that's what I'm gonna do in 2018. I forgot to say, I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. The next book is Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. I think that's how you say his name. Like I said, I read this for school. I had to read so much for school this month. So this is one of the books that I had to read in February. This is about a woman named Holly Golightly, but it's quite similar to The Great Gatsby because it's from a narrator's point of view, and he's basically telling the story about Holly. So we see it from his POV. We don't even know his name in this book. Holly calls him Fred because he reminds her of her brother, but other than that, we don't really know his real name. So yeah, it's mostly about Holly. God, I don't even like her. But this book is pretty interesting because it's about gossip. So Holly is created by gossip, basically. So towards the beginning, you know, we're just chilling, and then someone is like, hey, have you heard from Holly? And then we learn more about her. There's not much I can say, honestly, just because it's like a pretty short book or short story. I don't even know. But every time I think of, you know, the title, I think of Audrey Hepburn wearing that iconic outfit, you know, in the movie. But I have never seen the movie, but I do recognize the poster and like that pose, you know. So when I read this book, I was so shocked because when you look at Audrey Hepburn with that costume, she's like, you know, sophisticated. I thought she's gonna be like a decent human being, but in this book, she's like horrible. Oh my god. So I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Well, the next short story is Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. Like I said, she is the author of A Temporary Matter. For this short story, I read the short story, not the book, because I believe there's a book called Interpreter of Maladies, but in that book there are multiple short stories. So I'm saying that I read the actual short story called Interpreter of Maladies. So in this short story, it follows an Indian American family. They go back to India for summer vacation, I believe, and it's being told from the tour guide's point of view basically, but his other occupation is to be an interpreter for the patient and the doctor because he can speak multiple languages. So it is very interesting because from his point of view, he observes this family and he notices that the kids and the parents are not really like, I don't know, they're different basically because the parents act like siblings towards their own children. The mother is how can I put this politely? She's not a good mom. I'm just gonna say that. She's not really a good wife, and you kind of see that she just like pretty selfish. I don't love it as much as A Temporary Matter. I like the other one so much more than Interpreter of Maladies, but I still enjoy the short story for what it is. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So in February, Rebecca and I decided to watch the rest of the Star Wars movies. So of course we watched Star Wars The Force Awakens. Wow, I'm so glad I rewatched it because it's so good the second time. If you don't know, this is episode 7, I believe, and it came out around 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, at the end of 2016. No, in the end of 2015. Is it 2015 or 2016? Anyway, it's just so good. I love the characters, I love the plot, and I noticed that Rey is just good at everything in this movie. And I mean it, good at everything. When I was watching this, I was just like, Rebecca, is it me or she's just like a prodigy at everything she does? I love this movie very much. I gave this movie 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, because, you know, it's Star Wars. And now we're going to talk about music briefly. So if you don't know, the Black Panther soundtrack dropped in February, and of course I listened to the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack so much. There are 2 songs that I highly recommend. The first one is pretty obvious, it's All the Stars with Kendrick Lamar and SZA. The second one is The Ways with Khalid and Sway Lee. Honestly, just listen to the whole soundtrack if you can. If you love the movie and if you love rap and hip-hop, listen to the whole entire soundtrack because this is curated by Kendrick Lamar. I love Kendrick Lamar. I love him so much. So of course, I listened to the soundtrack and I love it. So I gave the soundtrack 5 out of 5 stars. So throughout the month of February, whenever I'm bored, I just put on a TV show in the back. For February, I put on The Office. I have watched The Office before, you know, like 2 years ago. I just rewatched episodes that I truly love. So it's mostly from season 4, 5, 6, and 7. There are a few episodes that I highly recommend watching if you have not watched them yet. The first one is Fun Run. Second one is Stress Relief Part 1 and Part 2. Dinner Party is really good. Oh my god. There are so many good episodes in season 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 too. I gave the show 5 out of 5 stars, of course, but it's just mostly towards, you know, the episodes that I watch, because I love them all. The last movie that I watched in February, literally the last day of the month, is Rogue One. Wow. No. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I love this movie so much. If you don't know, this is on Netflix, so oh yeah. I think this might be like my favorite Star Wars film, which is crazy because I love The Empire Strikes Back. I love The Force Awakens. So saying Rogue One is my favorite means a lot. I find that this movie means so much because it's the one that made me emotional the most. This movie is just so good. We have such a diverse cast of characters. I love all of them. I especially love the blind guy, because he's amazing. I mean, he's Asian and he's blind and he kicks ass. It reminds me so much of Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, but that's another story. But anyway, I love this film so much and I highly recommend watching this if you have not watched it. I mean, like, come on now, it's so good, like so good. If you don't know, this movie comes before episode 4, A New Hope, so I view it as like 3.8. It fills in the plot hole of like the Death Star and stuff like that, so it's mostly about, you know, the rebels, not really about the Jedis. So I give this movie 5 out of 5 stars. I love it so much. So that is it for my February wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's been really fun filming wrap-ups lately, and I cannot wait for this video to be over so I can, you know, take off this sweater. Oh my god, it's so hot right now. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!